The ocean is beautiful, until it isn't. For centuries it's tested human pride, wealth, and engineering. From billion-dollar super yachts to sleek racing vessels, man has tried to conquer the sea. But every now and then, the sea reminds us who's in charge. Tonight, we count down 5 real yachts, each destroyed by nature's fury, each caught on camera, each a reminder that in the war between man and water, the ocean never loses. These are not legends or recreations. These are true events, documented by coast guards, news crews, and survivors. From the calm blue of the Mediterranean to the roaring Tasman Sea, this is Top 5 Yachts Destroyed by Storms. Number 5. Lady MM, 2020, Italy. She was built to survive anything, except this storm. In August 2020, the Lady MM, a 47-meter Italian superyacht worth over $50 million, was sailing off the coast of Sardinia. Owned by a wealthy Italian businessman, the yacht was a floating palace, marble interiors, 5 decks, and engines built for the high seas. But luxury doesn't equal invincibility. That morning, a sudden Mediterranean storm swept across the Tyrrhenian Sea. Winds surged above 50 knots, lightning split the horizon, and waves rose like moving cliffs. Inside the yacht, the crew battled to keep control when a fire alarm sounded. At first, they thought it was a false trigger. Then, black smoke began to pour from the engine room. What started as a storm became a nightmare. The wind-fed fire spread rapidly through the decks, fueled by paint, wood, and diesel fumes. 9 crew members radioed the Italian Coast Guard, sending their position just off the coast near the island of Sardinia. Within minutes, rescue helicopters arrived, and cameras captured what looked like a scene from a disaster movie. A $50 million yacht burning, the sea around it glowing orange from the flames. One by one, the crew jumped into the stormy sea, clinging to rafts as waves tossed them like driftwood. All 9 were saved. But Lady MM was lost. She sank hours later, her hull disappearing beneath a sea still lit by her own fire. Experts later determined the storm's violent motion likely caused an electrical short circuit, the spark that doomed her. A vessel made to outlast time, destroyed in a single storm. Number 4. Escape, 2019, South Africa. 1 wave, 2 lives, gone forever. In December 2019, a German yacht named Escape set sail from Cape Town toward Southeast Asia. A 2-person crew, both experienced sailors in their 50s, were on board. The route would take them through one of the most unpredictable stretches of ocean on Earth, the Agulhas Current, where the warm Indian Ocean collides violently with the cold Atlantic. Sailors call it the meeting of monsters. The Agulhas is infamous for rogue waves, vertical towers of water that rise without warning, sometimes over 25 meters high. They appear like moving walls, born from conflicting currents and ferocious winds, and they vanish just as fast, leaving behind chaos and silence. 4 days into the voyage, weather satellites detected a storm front forming south of Cape Agulhas. The South African Maritime Safety Authority issued urgent warnings, urging vessels to alter course or seek shelter. But Escape, already far beyond reach of coastal radio, continued on her path, unaware or perhaps determined to push through. Then, silence. No distress signal, no emergency beacon, no trace of life. When fragments of fiberglass were found 400 kilometers off the coast, investigators feared the worst. Search teams launched an extensive operation, patrol aircraft sweeping the ocean grid by grid, merchant ships diverting to scan radar signatures, and coastal stations monitoring for any sign of life rafts. For 5 days, they searched an area larger than Belgium. Not a single human trace was found. Experts later reconstructed the likely cause, a rogue wave triggered by the violent convergence of wind and current. The yacht, designed for open ocean endurance, may have been struck broadside, flipping instantly and breaking apart under pressure that exceeded what most vessels could survive. The sea swallowed everything: the yacht, the equipment, and the evidence of what truly happened. To this day, Escape's wreckage has never been located. No bodies were recovered. The sailors simply disappeared into the same waters they had trusted for decades. In maritime law, such disappearances aren't rare, but this one struck a chord, because it reminded sailors everywhere that experience doesn't equal immunity, and that the ocean, even in the age of GPS and satellite tracking, can still erase human presence without a trace. Number 3. Bayesian, 2024 Sicily. It took just 3 minutes for $100 million to vanish beneath the waves. In August 2024, the Bayesian, a 38-meter luxury yacht owned by British technology billionaire Mike Lynch, was anchored off the coast of Sicily. The Mediterranean was calm, until it wasn't. Weather reports from the Italian Meteorological Institute describe what followed as a microburst storm, a violent, localized column of descending air capable of producing hurricane-level winds and explosive pressure changes in seconds. At approximately 4:30 p.m., nearby vessels reported a sudden wall of wind that flattened the sea into a mirror, then whipped it into a frenzy. Within moments, Bayesian began listing. Crew members shouted commands, but visibility dropped to near zero. Furniture, lifeboats, and equipment flew across the deck like shrapnel. Passengers scrambled for life jackets as the yacht tilted sharply to starboard. Eyewitnesses from nearby boats later told investigators that the vessel appeared to capsize in under 3 minutes. No time to issue a mayday. No time to launch all rafts. The sea simply consumed it. When the Italian Coast Guard arrived half an hour later, the scene was chaos. Fuel slicks, splintered teak panels, and survivors clinging to seat cushions and debris. The rescuers described gale force gusts and lightning so frequent that it illuminated the wreckage like strobe lights in the darkening sky. Out of the 12 people on board, 4 were confirmed dead, including Lynch himself. 2 others were never found. For a man who had once built billion-dollar empires in technology, the irony was brutal. His final moments spent in a battle not with markets, but with nature itself. The tragedy sent shockwaves through maritime and luxury circles. The Bayesian wasn't just a yacht. It was a masterpiece of naval design, equipped with computerized stabilization systems, storm sensors, and reinforced hull plating. Yet the storm that struck was beyond design limits. When divers later located the wreck 55 meters below, it was eerily intact. No hull breach, no explosion, no fire. The investigators' report was brief and unsettling. No mechanical failure. Vessel overwhelmed by meteorological event. In other words, nothing went wrong, except the weather. A billionaire's dream turned into a maritime tomb. It stands as a reminder that for all our innovation, the sea still writes the final line. Number 2. Platino, 2016 South Pacific. The crew's final call. We've lost control. June 2016. Somewhere between Tonga and New Zealand, the Platino, a 20-meter New Zealand sailing yacht, was fighting for her life. The voyage had begun as a routine sail home after refitting in Vanuatu. But 2 days out, the weather changed. A tropical depression unexpectedly intensified, transforming into a violent storm that battered the South Pacific. Winds reached 70 knots. Waves towered above 10 meters. The Platino's mast began to shake violently, its rigging groaning under the stress. Then, catastrophe. A massive wave slammed the yacht broadside, snapping the boom and killing one crew member instantly. Another was thrown overboard and never seen again. The surviving crew, drenched and terrified, tried to regain control as the sails tore to ribbons and the steering system jammed. They sent a mayday to New Zealand's Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre, their final broadcast chilling in its simplicity. "We've lost control." For more than 30 hours, the sea raged. Gale-force winds shredded communication antennas, and rescuers could only trace the signal intermittently through static and fading pings. New Zealand's Air Force dispatched a P-3 Orion aircraft, spotting the shattered hull drifting hundreds of miles from its intended course. When rescue helicopters finally reached the area, they found the survivors clinging to the mangled remains of the yacht's cockpit, dehydrated, exhausted, and in shock. The wreck told its own story. Broken spars, missing rigging, and a cabin torn open by the sea. One of the rescuers later recalled, "It looked like the ocean had chewed it up and spat it out." The Platino incident remains one of the most haunting maritime tragedies in New Zealand's modern history. An official inquiry later revealed that despite perfect maintenance and an experienced crew, a freak combination of wind shift, equipment failure, and rogue waves proved fatal. The report concluded that even the best designed vessels can be rendered helpless when nature crosses a certain threshold. For sailors worldwide, Platino became a grim reminder. At sea, control is an illusion. And when the ocean decides, skill and wealth mean nothing. Number 1. Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race, 1998, Tasman Sea. A race turned into a rescue mission. The sea decided who would live. Every December, the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race challenges some of the world's most skilled sailors. The course, 630 nautical miles from Sydney, Australia to Hobart, Tasmania, cuts through one of the roughest bodies of water on Earth, the Tasman Sea. But 1998 changed everything. On December 26th, 115 yachts left Sydney Harbour under clear skies. Families waved from the docks, cameras rolled, champagne bottles clinked. No one knew that within 24 hours, this would become one of the darkest chapters in modern sailing. A cold front from Antarctica collided with warm air over the Tasman, creating what meteorologists later called a bomb cyclone. In simple terms, a weather explosion. Winds hit 80 knots, hurricane strength. Waves climbed 80 feet. Rain fell sideways. Communication systems failed as masts snapped, sails shredded, and cabins flooded. Radios crackled with desperate calls. "Mayday, mayday! We're taking on water!" In one harrowing exchange, a skipper shouted through static, "We're upside down! Crew in the water!" By nightfall, the race had dissolved into chaos. Entire crews were swept overboard, some clinging to overturned hulls, others disappearing beneath monstrous waves. Rescue helicopters battled 100 kilometers per hour gusts, flying blind through rain and darkness. Pilots risked everything, lowering winchmen into seas so violent that waves struck the aircraft mid-hover. Many rescuers later admitted they didn't believe they'd make it back alive. The Australian Navy, merchant ships, and fishing trawlers joined in, forming what became the largest peacetime maritime rescue in Australian history. By the time dawn broke, 6 sailors were dead. 5 yachts had vanished completely. Over 50 men and women were pulled from the ocean, some hypothermic, some unconscious, all forever changed. The aftermath shook the sailing world. Investigations revealed that weather forecasts had underestimated the storm's intensity by a crucial margin, and many yachts had been unprepared for such conditions. Race organizers overhauled safety regulations, mandating new storm tracking systems, survival suits, and mandatory crew training. But for those who survived, reform was only part of the story. As one skipper later recalled, "You don't beat a storm like that. You just hope it lets you go." The 1998 Sydney to Hobart remains a somber reminder that even in an age of technology and precision, the ocean holds the final say. And sometimes, its lesson is paid for in lives. Every yacht on this list shared something in common: engineering excellence, skilled crews, and human confidence. And yet, every one of them fell to the same power: the ocean itself. We design ships that can cross continents. We map every current and track every cloud. But no satellite, no billionaire's yacht, and no racing vessel can ever predict the sea's next move. Because the sea doesn't care who you are: a sailor, a billionaire, or a dreamer chasing horizons. When it decides to rise, it rises for all. And sometimes it takes everything with it. If you found this story haunting, subscribe for more real-world maritime stories, because history isn't just written on land. Sometimes it's buried beneath the waves.